radio rebel. Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. This is the type of stuff I'm into, all right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go.
Let's go, let's go. Big City 101.3 FM, waking up with TaylaAndre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. We have a very special guest coming in. I can't wait. We're about to have a conversation unorthodox conversation leading to universal consciousness. I'm so excited. There's so much to read. There's so much to tell you. So much going on. First and foremost, an Arkansas cancer survivor is getting support to fight the courts after being jailed over bounce check and unpaid debts. The Huffington Post reported that in 2009, Lee Robinson was undergoing his first chemotherapy treatments when he started to have money problems. He was unable to work because of pancreatic cancer, and over 2 weeks, Robinson wrote 11 checks for an amount of 5 to 41. My apologies. But that just means that our guest is here. So he wrote checks that he couldn't cash, and they went ahead and jailed him for it. It angers me. It frustrates me. I don't know what to do, because this is like, his story is not the only one. And there are so many other stories like this as far as healthcare is concerned. And a lot of people don't believe that Obamacare, aka Mitt Romney care, because if you really look at it, Massachusetts gave free or low income or, subsidized healthcare for years. And people think that we've been doing it the right way. We've been going about it the right way, but it's really frustrating. And the thing that frustrates me most is we as a country are not doing the right thing. So I'm going to go ahead and go get our guest really quickly and just listen, because healthcare is not the only thing that we're not doing right. Shout out to Darletta Scruggs and all that she does, as she pushes for free college. We definitely need to reevaluate what our country believes is important. So without no further ado, I'm going to go get our guest settled. And this is Darletta Scruggs pushing for free college.
Darletta, I caught your comments in Germany. You were really impressive out there. But that country doesn't do nearly the amount of this stuff that these other countries do. It's the country that Greece comes to get money. It's the country that's leading Europe.
How do you know that? I totally disagree. You're pointing to Greece because it fits your argument. But we have Sweden, we have Finland, we have Brazil, we have plenty of countries that offer free college education.
In Europe, precisely because it did not go down this path of the government providing all of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying some of your writers aren't good, and they're valid.
Germany has free college education and free health care. We're only talking about the topic of college education. Now you're trying to blow it up of all the problems in the world. We're talking about college education. And Greece can do it. Can the U.S. not provide education to its citizens? Is that what you're telling me in the United States? That the United States cannot provide education to its citizens? That's what you're telling me now? Is that what you're telling me?
You don't want to hear it. I'm not preaching. I'm just telling you facts.
I'm asking you a question.
Germany is the strongest economy in Europe.
Help me understand. We're talking about the U.S. I don't want to talk about Germany. Let's talk about the U.S. The U.S. cannot provide education to its citizens. That's what you're telling me?
You can't suit the facts to suit your point of view. You make a very good and basic point about
We're talking about the United States.
But you're not talking about, you want to get rid of that.
Who is about to spend $1 trillion on nuclear weapons?
All right, fine. But do you think Bernie Sanders is right?
You're refusing to answer my question. You're refusing to answer my question. You're saying that the United States cannot provide quality education to its citizens. That is the reality. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm saying the United States can't afford, as things are now, to pay for college for everybody without paying the nose and taxing a lot of people. That's the way.
But I just gave you multiple ways that it can be paid for, and you agreed with that.
I agree with that.
This is Darletta Scruggs.
We agree.
All I'm saying is, can we reprioritize to the point, first to address spending, before we talk about hiking taxes on it?
We're talking about investment in prisons. That is one place where we can easily reprioritize. We don't need to be building more prisons. We have more prisons in the U.S. than degree-granting college and universities. That is a problem. We can invest that money that's being invested into universities that can educate young people.
She went all the way in. He could even disagree with her.
I think this is how this video played.
Yeah.
We can reprioritize. We can set our focus. Well, I'm saying, Darletta, before we talk about raising taxes, let's focus.
Who said anything about raising taxes, Neil?
Anything about raising taxes, but you know,
No,
you pointed to raising taxes.
I
I said we can be very creative. There is money.
I'm using your words. I've heard you on YouTube talking about raising taxes and building the rich
But
and
when
the
you
banks.
say raising taxes, you want your viewers who are crunched financially to feel like taxes are going to be raised on them. When I say raising taxes, I'm talking about bankers.
Right.
I'm talking about the 0.01%, the Rothschilds, the Waltons, hedge fund billionaires. We're talking about two different people here.
All right. Well, I'm
Those are
talking
the people
about
that
if
have
you
the
raise that on all of those guys, then you're quite right. They do escape a lot of taxes. But even taxing to the full hilt isn't going to address everything you want. So the bottom line we agree on, I do agree with you on this, we can reprioritize. All I'm asking is let's reprioritize before we decide on trying to give the government more money. Let's find out what the hell it's doing with the money it has, right?
We know what it's doing with the money. It's giving tax breaks to the rich, and it's paying for expensive wars. We know. I'm not confused. Maybe you should do some more research.
We're streaming live on Facebook, and we'll be live on YouTube.
And it's not going anywhere in education because it's not profitable. We live in a system of capitalism where the idea is to make money. If it doesn't make money, it's not a priority. We need to restructure our society and how it's set up and reprioritize on what we value as important. And money and profits should not be more important than education and human life. And the fact that it is a problem.
Thank you very much, Darletta Scruggs.
That's my baby. Yes, Darletta. You better tell him. I don't know if you don't know where your tax dollars go, Neil, because I know where my tax dollars go. And war should not be it. As far as our own tax dollars here in Massachusetts, we need to start paying attention to what's going on because we are so blind and so ignorant to where our money goes. We don't follow that dollar. And then those that do care don't really do anything but complain outside of Facebook. I'm going to need for you to go to the polls and vote because that's where your dollar goes. Your teachers, that's where your dollar goes. Your principals, that's where your dollar goes. The superintendent, $300,000 a year, that's where your dollar goes. Start paying attention because you own the schools, you own your politicians, start acting like it. As far as other news is concerned, we're coming to the top of the hour and I want to make sure that we get all of the time that we possibly can with our amazing guest today, Miss Stephanie Everett, so we can learn about what a deed is and how that even affects us. But in weird news, is Earth being contacted by aliens? Mysterious radio signals are coming from a sun-like star, baffles scientists. They're saying that scientists don't get baffled often. Okay. The signal seems to be coming off a sun-like star known as the HD 164595. The star is 95 light years away and may undiscover planets in different orbits. I don't know why we for 5 seconds here in America, because if you go outside of America, you do know that they're like, oh, those things right there, we don't know who they are, but they're here all the time. Just wave. It's insane. Scientists say that the signal may simply be the result of a natural phenomenon. One possibility is micro-lensing, which the star's gravity focuses signals coming from further away. But long story short, they have no idea what it is. They've been looking for ET. All they got to do is go look in Roswell. That's my personal opinion. Russia reveals its first test to radical pulse detonation, a super rocket. Scientists ran first successful test on a pulse detonation rocket engine. This type of engine is used to detonate waves to combust fuel, and it uses an oxidizer. Researchers say that it uses clean fuel and oxygen kerosene pairing and will allow rockets to carry heavier loads, reduce the cost of launching into orbit, and it's clean, so they say. And I think that overall we do need to figure out how on earth can we utilize the things that we have here to our benefit. We need to stop drilling because, ripple effects, drilling and fracking is ruining our water, even though scientists that get paid a whole lot of money are telling us otherwise. We know it to be true. And as far as oil is concerned, personally, what was it, the 1970s, there was an automobile that came out that ran on hydrogen. There's also been automobiles that run on oxygen. There's been automobiles that run on waste. There's been automobiles that run on old garbage. There are solutions. We just refuse to utilize them. The future of sex. So I have to give a shout out to Hong Kong because they have they make my Freaky Friday look like Motivational Monday. So Adult Fair showcases a mind-boggling array of lifelike silicone dolls and virtual reality headsets to make X-rated scenarios seem very, very real. I cannot explain or express in words how real these dolls look. So I'm just going to go ahead and post it on the Wake Up with TaylaAndre page, and you can take a look for yourself. When I tell you their sex toy game is on fleek, oh my gosh. Freaky Friday. We'll save this for Freaky Friday in about 3 weeks. Just go to the website, TaylaAndre. It's on Facebook. I'll post it on Instagram, and your mind will completely be blown. There is a tribute to Gene Wilder. You guys know who he is, right? Willy Wonka, the original Willy Wonka. He died at the age of 83 following a secret battle with Alzheimer's. The actor's nephew says that he died late Sunday in Stamford, Connecticut. And he is best known for playing Willy Wonka. But his face, he was everywhere. And he was a great actor. And he will be missed. And other weird news, I don't know if you guys follow me on my website, TaylaAndre.com, but one of the things that I am really interested in is massive deaths of animals. And recently there were 300 reindeer that were killed by a single lightning strike. Can you imagine how large that bolt of lightning had to be in order to kill 300 reindeer? This was at a Norwegian national park that was hit by stormy weather. It was 323 wild reindeer killed in a lightning strike, and the tragedy occurred on Friday. Aside from the adults, there were 70 babies that were also killed. The reason why this is so significant is because the national park had these reindeer because they're going extinct. I did not know this. Apparently, I honestly had no idea that reindeer were on the endangered species list. They were being well taken care of on this reservation, and now 323 are dead. They have no explanation outside of lightning. But they're all in one place. Large or massive quantities of animals dying at one single spot has always interested me because it's not normal. It's not natural. And I really do think that a lot of our activity, of course, conspiracy theorists, HAARP, I really do think that we need to take a look at what the side effects are of our greed, the side effects of our inability to understand that we are not God, and we cannot dictate and change and alter and control things that are only for God's control. Virtual reality robots could someday teleport juries to gruesome crime scenes to investigate murders. So as far as technology is concerned, juries are very rarely given permission to visit a crime scene, but this comes with a range of logistical and security challenges. Using virtual reality may be able to explore the scene remotely so they can better come out with verdicts that, they were there, they saw it, they understand it a little bit more. Right now, Durham University is currently developing a system that will allow them to do this. And I think this is kind of dope. I really do, because you'll be able to be there. Putting on those 3D glasses will take you to the scene. You'll be able to see things that only lawyers could try to explain to you. And just like I can't explain to you about those sex toys that I just saw, you're going to have to take a look for yourself. And I think as far as cases are concerned, could you imagine having a 3D visual of the O.J. Simpson scene? Like, would that have come out differently if we could virtually be there? The trouble is that the algorithms are nowhere near accurate in predicting who would be high-risk individuals as far as, strokes are concerned. And, 3D, it doesn't work for everybody. And it's kind of expensive. So they're trying to work out a few kinks. We'll definitely stay up to date on that because I am very interested. In other news, I want to give a huge, huge, huge shout out. That is a Chico to P. Diddy. So growing up in Harlem, he said this is off his Instagram. Growing up in Harlem, I had always had a dream of opening a school with leadership curriculum for our inner city youth. Through the grace of God and the support of Harlem community, my dream came true. I'm going from me to we. I would like to thank Harlem, all of my children in school, and the staff for making it happen. Hashtag let's go. Hashtag capital prep Harlem. So Puff Daddy opened up his own school in 2016. I'm so excited for him. Now I'm just waiting on Dr. Umar Johnson. And I didn't even know Puff Daddy was coming out with a school. I didn't know that was even something that he was interested in. But it's a beautiful thing, and it's a leadership curriculum. Leadership. So, Anare, if you're listening, you might be going to Harlem, son. Censoring of Facebook. So I want to talk to all of my conspiracy theorists, all of my truth tellers, all of the ones that are constantly posting things that other people are like, did you really just post that? How? Tayla, be safe, be careful, all of those type things that come up. Trust and believe that you only see a small percentage of the things that I actually post, because I've been censored for years. This is nothing new. People are just now saying, oh, how I posted something 3 days ago, now it's not there. Welcome to my life. Earlier this month, Baltimore County Police tried to sever the internet connection. They shut down my baby's page. And while Corinne Gaines was on Facebook Live, they went ahead and shut down her page. They're saying the censoring of Facebook is really cutting off the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and not just Black Lives Matter, but anything that is, of truth, of liberty, of justice for all. Shout out to my boo. I can't believe he said that on national television. I'm so proud of him. But one of the things that is bothersome to me is they want to hit you with it was a technical glitch, or, come back later, we apologize. The truth of the matter is they're forever taking down things, but yet let it be a fight between two girls calling each other all types of names. Violence, they'll keep it up. Sexual innuendos, they keep it up. Nastiness, they keep it up. I can't tell you, somebody put porn on my Facebook about 3 weeks ago. My auntie called me like, Tayla, if you don't take that off my page, when would I ever post some nastiness like that, auntie? Never. But they left it up, and I was in a meeting and couldn't even check my phone. People were sending me messages, giving me calls, and there was nothing I could do at that time. But yet, let me post the fact that Corinne Gaines was killed and that she had all types of proof that she was being harassed, and that was taken down. I try to repost it. It's still in my Facebook right now, trying to get clearance to be posted. There's a lot. I have about 6 or 7 different posts that are waiting for clearance to be posted. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg uploaded a letter saying that, we apologize. There's not much we can do with these technical glitches. But as far as the Corinne Gaines, that was an emergency type action, and we don't do that regularly, and we don't feel as if we'll be doing it in the future unless there is risk of harm as a factor. What was risk of harm is taking that feed down when she was live streaming, because that could have been our virtual reality to see what really happened. but I'll leave that there. The Philippines president slams the United States for killing Black people. I'm so glad. I am not the biggest fan of Michael Curry, you guys know this, but one of the things that I do appreciate is at a forum he spoke with Sheriff Tompkins. He said that history is catching up to reality. Reality is catching up to history because everything that's been going on for years is finally being exposed. People are finally seeing it for what it is. During a press conference on Sunday, the president, Rodrigo, stated that his country should separate from the United Nations because the United Nations could not control America or Russia, and because of the international body could not stop the killing of people in places like Syria. Why are you Americans killing Black people there, shooting them down when they are already on the ground? Answer that question, he demanded. Because even if it's only 1 or 2 or 3, it's still human rights violation. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Do you guys remember the report I read about a year ago? And in that report, it was Beijing who was being, like the United States was talking about Beijing and the human rights and how dare you treat your citizens this way. And Beijing said, pause, wait a second. Are y'all still the ones killing your people? You kill your people in broad daylight, it's posted on the news, and you want to come talk to us? Worry about yourself, handle your own business, and don't worry about what goes over here in Beijing. You guys remember that report? I don't know why we think we have the audacity to tell people what to do, how to do it, and how wrong they are when we are just as guilty. Thank you, President Rodrigo. I definitely appreciate you. Continue speaking up, continue speaking out, and this is exactly what we need. Last but not least, as far as news is concerned, the LA Police Department says that it will create a program to assist the families of people killed during encounters with police. How about y'all just don't kill people? We don't need programs. Just stop killing. Just have, who said it? Was it my baby? What's his name? Patrick Kaepernick. What did he say about hairdressers receive more training than police officers? Because they certainly do. If you look at the amount of hours that, especially in the state of Massachusetts, that a cosmetologist or a barber has to go through, in comparison to police, there is no comparison. Somebody who does hair needs more training to sit down and do a braid up than somebody that has a gun on their hip that can take somebody's life in any second. One of the things that I never understood is, you know, here in Massachusetts, we have veterans preference. That means that 100% of those that are employed are disabled vets, and then civilians. That's the way that it goes. Before they even get to the vets, those slots are already filled. I never understood how or why we think it's appropriate for our servicemen and women who went overseas with the notion, with the understanding that everybody is an insurgent. Everybody is somebody that we need to be mindful of. Everybody is guilty. There is no until proven innocent. We need to take them out before they take us out, even if that involves children and women. We bring them home and we say, here's a job. We, the people of the United States of America, don't need to be policed in that fashion. I don't believe we do. I don't believe that we need to have a police department that is militarized. And literally, it's militarized because they just came out of the military. I'm sorry. Is that not common sense? So I'm going to take a really quick break. Big City 101.3 FM, Waking Up with TaylaAndre. Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. We do have a call on the line, but if you could just hold, baby, because I want to make sure that we get as much conversation as possible before we start taking questions. So please hold for 5 seconds, and we're gonna go ahead and introduce our amazing guest and start this show off right. But until we do, tell them what it is, sus one.
101.3 FM. Wake up with the Radio Rebel. Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading a universal consciousness. This is the type of stuff I'm into, all right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. So for those who don't know, we have an election coming up. Voting, having your voice heard, stop itching and complaining and actually get up and do something. And with that being said, one of the positions that is currently being voted on, I've never even heard of. You never even heard of. I'm lying. I know what it is, but you probably never heard of it. You're like, what is that, and why do I need to vote for that position? Registry of Deeds.
Yes.
That's right. That's correct. That's
Register of Deeds.
Register of Deeds. So we have Miss Stephanie Everett in the building. I heard her speak last week. Or was it this week?
It was last week.
It was last week.
He's an attorney.
Yeah, they are. They're.
Yes.
It feels like it was yesterday. But Rock's Vote had an event at Hibernian Hall. It was absolutely amazing. I want to say it was one of the most well put together events regarding this election that I've seen. And I love the questions. I love the atmosphere. And I love the candidates. Register of Deeds, that particular portion is currently on YouTube and on Twitter. So if you were unable to attend, I try to go to as many events as possible, make sure that if you were unable to attend, you at least were able to see what was going on. So head out to YouTube, TaylaAndre, and get all your questions answered as far as who was there, why were they there, and what were their response to the questions. But as far as today is concerned with Ms. Stephanie Everett, I hope to inform you all what a Register of Deeds is, why it's important to you, and why we need to be more engaged and more focused on these type of positions that are so instrumental to our futures, but we just have no clue about what they are, nor pay any attention to them.
First of all, thank you for having me today.
All the time, anytime.
So the Register of Deeds position is at present and will continue to be a management position of managing your records for all land in Suffolk County. Suffolk County includes Boston, Winthrop, Revere. Sorry. Boston, Winthrop, Revere, Chelsea, and Winthrop. That's the gist of what the job is. If you buy a home or you sell a home, the records come through the Register of Deeds. If you have a homestead, it comes through the Register of Deeds. So those are the things that happen at the Register of Deeds. What I want to do with the Register of Deeds is completely blow it up a little bit to make it more accessible so that people do not have these questions about what the Register of Deeds is. And that's mainly because we need to get into the community to let people know exactly what we're doing at the Register of Deeds.
And what are you doing?
So
except for managing, and that's what you said.
Records, yes.
Managing records.
That's the gist of what that role is currently. My plan is to make it more of a place of advocacy. We need to make sure that information is being funneled to our communities. So, for example, when we had the foreclosure crisis a few years ago, the Register of Deeds was the first place that knew that the crisis was going on because they were accepting the foreclosure deeds from the banks. So that data should have been compiled when you start seeing there's a trend going on, giving it to the state and local officials who can now start doing things in the community to help residents get out of the bind that they're in. Point them in the right direction on who they should go to. There were too many people who were giving their money to companies that came up overnight and said, I'm going to help you with your modification, or I'm going to help you refinance your home, and they disappeared with the money. And people were lost with no money and no home. We could have helped that just a little bit by making sure that someone was given the direction they needed to go to. The Register of Deeds is a place, like I said, you go there and you're buying your home. So you're acquiring your wealth at the Register of Deeds. It should be a place where you come back to get information on how to preserve that wealth, how to save your home from foreclosure and prevent anything from happening to your home. And for me, and I always say this because I am a mother of a blended family, and we have my foster son, so 8 wasn't enough. What I say all the time is I'm only going to leave them my home. I do not have stocks and bonds. I do not have a large savings account. They will not get rich upon my passing, but they will still have a family home. They will have something that they can call their own. My mother's never owned anything. My father died in 2010, never owning a home. So this is creating something different in my family, but I need to make sure that I'm giving out information to the communities so that it comes back even for my kids to use, for my grandkids to use, for other family members to use, just so that you know what to do with your home. And when you're gone, how do you make sure that your home is preserved? There's different things that you have to do. A lot of people don't know if you live in home with your mom and your dad and there's a mortgage, you can't just take over the mortgage. You can lose, the home can be foreclosed on then. But that's not, it's not saying that the Register of Deeds should actually do this work. It's just giving you the information so that you know where to go in order to preserve your wealth.
So right now, as far as my homestead is concerned, or my property, or my mother's house, right now, if I call the Register of Deeds, what can you do for me?
Right
Not
now,
you personally,
yes.
but because there's absolutely no one who works there right now, because no one's in that position. Learn that for the past 8 months.
It's not vacant. There is an active register in that position. What you're referring to a comment that was made at the forum. So it's not vacant. It's not vacant where everyone's just working and there's no one in that position. There is someone who's been a long-standing employee of the registry who is acting register at this point.
Are they actually part of this election as well? Or they were like, I don't want no parts of this?
No, they don't live in the Suffolk County. So that's the reason why. Well, it's you don't have to live. And we have a lot of people grandfathered in, but he's been there for so long, Thomas Ryan, that he was a great choice for the secretary to just have him sit in that position while somebody did run for office to seek the position for. And this is a special election. The seat is not supposed to be on the ballot until 2018. So whoever wins this primary, hopefully it's me, will be on the ballot again in 2018. So it's not vacant in that sense. It's not like, you don't have a governor or something. It's not vacant. There is somebody who's actually doing the work and occupying the seat.
Okay. But as far as his position,
yes.
If I call today, what can the office do for me?
So if you call today, they can tell you where, direct you to your deeds. You can look it up online as well. It's not accessible. It's not that user-friendly on your cell phone, and most people use a smartphone, including myself. As a practicing attorney, if I'm going to an elder's house or to anyone's house, when I want to pull up their deed just to look at some things that may be going on with their deeds, I can't do it that easily on my cell phone because there's floating pop-ups that you can't really see on your smartphone. The website hasn't been updated since 1999, whole different issue. So that's
She didn't even say 2010. She said 1999.
1999. And realistically, you have to, it's a low-hanging fruit. Everyone's talking about that. Everyone should be talking about how to bring it up to 21st century. But if you call now, they would tell you about your deed, who owns it, anything that is filed on your property. So if the mortgage company, most of them, when you get a mortgage, they also file the mortgage documents on with your deed. They can direct you to where you can look for if you need more information about your home. But they're not attorneys in that sense where they're going to give you legal advice. So if you have an issue with your deed, you have an issue with your plot, they're not going to give you that information. They may tell you to call your elected officials, but we should be given a little bit more information.
What kind of legal issue would one have with your deed?
It could not have been transferred the right way.
So from parent to child, there's a certain means that...
Well, it could be parent to child, or a perfect example, just a very simple, common example is two people decide to get divorced. They go upstairs in the same building as the registry, the Everett Brooks Courthouse, and they don't have an attorney. There's a lot of information online that helps them, even at the courts, it helps them get a divorce without the use of legal counsel.
Okay.
You leave out the building, you have property, you all have agreed that the wife will keep the home.
But it's in the husband's name.
It's in both of their names.
Okay.
Or in one name. It could be in either or. You walk out the building right past the registry, and 10 years later, now wife wants to sell the home. Or a year later, 6 months later, wife has to track down husband to sign.
Ex-husband. That's my ex-husband.
Ex-husband has to track down her ex-husband, who she may or may not have a great relationship with.
Okay.
And say, I need you to sign a deed, transferring all of your rights and interests, current and future, to me, so I can sell the home. Now, if you divorced 4 or 5 years ago, your mortgage is probably underwater. Your mortgage was more than what your home was worth. Well, not today. Today, your house is worth a lot more. People's, the property taxes, property increase probably about $100,000 average across, or more. So depending on where you live at, you may have an ex who's like, I'm not signing that. In fact, I'm going to go to court and file a modification so that I get the house, or I get half of the sale price of the home.
But I've been paying the mortgage for the past 5 years.
His name is still on the deed. So it doesn't matter if he's going to
get it. Issue.
It does not matter if the court may agree with you, but the fact now you're going to get an attorney and you're going to have a cost you didn't have, that you should not have, because when you left out of the divorce court, family court, you should have been given a sample deed or instructed to go downstairs and make sure that you transfer property at that point.
So one of the things that we know is common sense is not that common, and the courts are far from having any common sense. If you were the registrar, how probable would it be that this, deed or instruction of deed could be given in family court?
It is very probable. I've spoken to the current registrar of probate about it, and he also agrees that there should be better coordination. So it's nothing that is new. You're already in the building. You have to come in to get your divorce. You're just simply sending someone downstairs. There are other counties and other states that also will give you a sample deed. So we should be able to give that information to our consumers to let them know what they need to do. We're not going to be able to give you legal advice, but we definitely can help you out with that information. And when you do get legal advice upstairs during your divorce, because they do have lawyers of the day upstairs, so if you needed someone to walk you through, they will have that included as well. We should have a sample deed on how you do a deed online. You don't need an attorney. While I'm an attorney and I do real estate law,
though I want your money.
I am an attorney, but I also know to me, I'm always going to be a public service person, servant at heart. I worked at Senator Chang Diaz's office as her Deputy Chief of Staff, Metropolitan Area Planning Council, doing work on foreclosures and on youth violence prevention, Chief of Staff at DTA. So when I opened my own law firm, I never stopped being a public servant. Right? So when people come in, the first thing I'm not thinking is, oh, how much money am I going to get from you? You can do this on your own. Some things people should be able to do on their own, and then you teach your kids how to do it on their own. So it's not to me about making the money. More it is to make sure that you have the information and the knowledge to know where to go to get the help you need without having to spend more money. Most people, when they come to an attorney, they've already lost something, whether it's their liberty, their financial gains. There's something that's already been lost. You don't need to keep losing.
Big City 101.3 FM, waking up with TaylaAndre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. We're currently in the building with Stephanie Everett. She's running for Registrar of Deeds. And we are trying to understand, what does that mean, and why is it important, and why is it something that we should pay attention to? 617-282-0062. Give us a call if you have any questions regarding, what can they ask you about?
They can ask me about why, everything I've already told you, why I'm running, what can they do. So a lot of people, questions I get is, if you're not a homeowner, why does this concern me?
Okay, if I'm not a homeowner, why does this concern me?
It's a great question. If you remember when we had the foreclosure crisis,
yes,
a lot of tenants were being evicted by the banks. So when I worked in Senator Chang Diaz's office, one of the pieces of legislation I helped draft and pass was on foreclosure prevention, and it included tenant protection rights. So we needed to make sure, and that's
What does that mean? Because that's a lot of legalese.
Well, tenant protection means that banks could not just come in and say, now own your home, get out. Your landlord doesn't own this home anymore, you need to go. They had to still come up with just costs, like any other landlord would have to do in the state of Massachusetts. Find a reason to evict someone, non-payment of rent, violating their lease in some other way that was going on, something that says they can't do. But that's why it's important to tenants, because if something's going on with your landlord's home, is going on with you. Also, if you have, all of us know someone who owns a home, whether it's your great aunt, your aunt, your grandmother, or your parents. You need to be informed about all these things. Having someone understand, like I said earlier, if your parents pass away, you need to know that you cannot just assume the mortgage.
Why not?
Because that's not how it works. The mortgage is a contract between the parties and the bank. And in order for you to get a mortgage, you've given your financial records, you've given your tax information, you've given out your employer information. So you've shown proof that you can afford this home. So a child cannot, you can keep paying if you want to, but once they find out, they have every right to foreclose on that home.
Hold on, what?
Yes.
So if I'm paying the bills and I have the financial means, I have the money, I can pay it, whether it's from my own accord, my mom put money aside to make sure that the house was taken care of. There is a process that has to be done, or I can have this house just taken from me, even if it's my parents died 5 years ago. I've been paying for the past 5 years.
Yes.
And now the bank just wants to foreclose because they realize my parents are dead.
Because they don't have a contract with you. So the contract.
So is there any way, like,
So for some places, some banks, you could do a modification.
Mm-hmm.
And so every bank is different. You would have to call the bank to find out what you would need to do in order to assume the loan.
What if the parents are already gone? And
you still have to call the bank to find out what you need to do to assume the loan. Some places restrict, they call it modification, where only the husband and the wife can do that. So if husband passes, wife can, vice versa. They can do a modification where they're basically removing the spouse from the mortgage and running the mortgage completely onto you. That's a little bit more simpler than your children. With your children, you do have to show that credit worthy in order to keep the home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you find a lot of people who've been in a home for a very long time, and they're like, we're just going to sell it, because they may not be able to have they may not have the credit or the financial means that the bank needs for them to stay in the home.
Mm.
So that's information that you should know. So if you're sitting in your home and you're paying your mortgage for your family year after year after year, and you've been on time, it's not counting toward your credit worthiness. It's counting towards your parents who are not here.
Mm.
And you need to establish a relationship with a bank in order to keep it, so you can refinance the home. If there's a will, you have to go through probate to figure out what you need to do in order to get the home to actually come out to you. And in that way, you have a relationship with a bank. You don't have to worry about that.
So I have a really quick question, because I'm wondering, as far as the modification is concerned, let's say, for instance, let's go back to the first example. Husband, wife just get divorced. We get a sample deed. We go downstairs. How would that work? Is it like, we still don't have an attorney, but we don't necessarily agree because I want to sell the home. He wants to live in the house. Like, how would that work under those circumstances?
So that's a probate matter. So it's a family court matter. So when you go to when you get your divorce, you will either agree that you're going to sell the home, or someone else is going to get the home, or the judge makes that decision for you. So once the decision is made, whether
was the judge there when we bought the house? The judge can make that decision?
This is what I tell my clients when I'm dealing with a divorce, child support, or even child custody. Do not let someone who does not live your day-to-day make decisions for you. If you need to decide on something, try to decide on something on your own. Don't include them unless you really have to include them. So that would mean to me, if I'm dealing with someone who's getting a divorce, I try to get the parties. You have to have a meeting right after right before you go in for a divorce. It's a pretrial hearing. And at that three-way conference, the parties meet together and they discuss whether or not they can come to some agreements. These are some of the agreements that I try to get people to make on their own. Husband and wife, who wants the home? If you if neither one of them wants the home, you decide how you're going to split the home. Is it going to be 50-50? Is it going to be less than that because one is paying off a debt that they acquired during the marriage? There could be a lot of reasons for that. But if they can't decide on those things, the judge will decide for them how things are going to happen.
Not in my house. That's insane.
Yes.
So, as an attorney, you're a family law attorney?
I do family law, real estate, and criminal law.
We got a whole lot of family law questions.
I know. I've been here before for some of the child support questions. I've had other friends of mine come in for the child support questions. Oh, I know.
Oh, you know?
I do know.
Okay. All right. Because we have many questions as far as child support is concerned, but we won't go there. We'll stay on topic. Registrar of Deeds. Why? Okay, so this is a really dumb question. Registrar of Deeds. What is it? REGSAR? What does that mean?
Well, it's register.
Register.
Yeah. So I think it's just a title because it's the registry and then you're the register. So it's just your title. It means that you are basically the director, the administrator, the head of the registry of deeds.
Okay. We do have a question, 617-282-0062. Do you have any questions regarding your deed, your homestead, your house, your family home, your grandma's home, auntie's home, anything regarding housing, not really housing, but owning a home and what that means as far as the ownership or transferring the property, or what other questions should we focus on as far as this position and why it's important?
Are you asking me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the office to me is important. It's one of those positions that people don't know about. It's very down ballot. It's either second to last or last on the ballot. So you get a lot of people who just skip over it when they're voting. This election is going to be important. It's a position that's never been held by a woman. It's never been held by a person of color. We are seeking to change that office in a lot of ways, not only to make it more consumer friendly, get information out, attend forums like the Roxbury Vote Forum that we met at last week to let people know what's going on in the Register of Deeds, but also to give information and receive information back. So if the community needs more information, I should be in a position where I'm asking you, what do you need? What do you need this office to do? Who else should we link with? It's not creating more money to the budget. It's actually just using the services that exist, connecting people with the family court, connecting with the bankruptcy court. People are still, I always say the economy has come out of recession, not everyone else has. Individuals are still struggling every day. My household is no exemption to that. We are coming out the recession ourselves. It's great to come out of it, but it's a slower process than the economy is going through.
Absolutely.
So bankruptcy courts are still being filled with people filing new bankruptcies. And
so if we have bankruptcy questions, we can call as well.
I do not do bankruptcy. I do have a good friend who does bankruptcy, and that's why I shove everything over to her, but she does bankruptcies, and she's really good at it.
Well, I want to give a shout out to you, #Dr. Chica, because you said earlier that you own your own law firm.
I do.
A Black woman owning a law firm. Isn't that a beautiful thing? 617-282-0062. What questions do you have, darling? Good rising.
Hey, good rising, guys. Hey, a quick question. I purchased a home a few years ago. At the original closing, I had a homestead. Now, I refinanced once, and I'm probably thinking about refinancing again. Now, is that homestead, when you do it at the original closing, is it just for the life of the deed, or is it basically every time you refinance, you have to get a homestead again? And can you do a homestead after the original closing? Can you do it basically after once you refinance again, or is it only done at the original closing?
You do not have to do your homestead at the closing. You can actually do your homestead whenever you want to. There is an automatic homestead. I believe it's $125,000 that attaches to every home. That's a law that passed a few years ago. If you want to have more than that, which is it's up to $500,000, you do have to pay. I think it's $35 to the registry. Does not have to be done at the time of closing. I will say that it's also the life of your ownership in the home. So the homestead stays with you. It does not stay with the property, though. Meaning that if you are refinancing and you are putting someone else on that property, your name is coming out, then they do have to file a new homestead. If you are staying on and you're just refinancing with different banks, then you don't have to do anything else. Your homestead is still on there. You can also look that up on the Register of Deeds, where you can see your homestead has been filed with your property. But once you sell it, you will have to get a new one for your new property, and whoever buys the property from you will have to get a homestead.
Does that answer your question, baby?
Yes, it is. But actually, now give me another question. Okay, so let's say you pass away and you leave and you will everything to your children. Now, does your children have to get their homestead again because now it's transferred ownership, or?
It depends on if you have a mortgage. If you have a mortgage and your kids have to assume a mortgage, so you have to refinance, and there's a change of name, then they will have to get a new homestead. So the circumstances will dictate whether or not a homestead is going to be needed. If they, I personally would advise anyone, because in that situation, to file a new homestead just to protect you. If there's no mortgage and you're just transferring the deed over to your name, you should have it in your name, because the homestead, the whole point of the homestead is protect you from creditors. So a creditor of your children would not, your children would not be exempt underneath your homestead. They would need to be exempt underneath their own homestead in their own name.
Okay. Does that answer the question, baby?
Yeah.
All right. Love and appreciate you. Hope you have an amazing day today. We have another caller on the line, 617-282-0062. What questions do you have for Miss Stephanie Everett? 617-282-0062. Good rising, my love.
Good rising, Taylor.
Talk to me.
Yes, I got a question for the attorney. My question is, let's say you have couple of properties. You can only have homestead as a property that you live, or you could put homestead in every single one of them.
You can only have a homestead on your primary property. So wherever you reside at, your regular home is the place where your homestead would go. It would not attach to all of your secondary
rental properties, all of your Boston properties. Don't work like that, boo. It does not work. Do you have any other?
With the homestead for each house, and which will cost you $35. Because I wasn't trying to do that. See, in Boston told me I couldn't do it. So
you can't.
That's why I'm calling, because I heard that you could do it as it's going to cost you $35 for each house you had. So I was going to find out what was the difference, because I went down there, I made a big spit at the city of Boston, and they just laughed at me because they refused to even give me the paper just to fill it out. So I was wondering if the law changed or what. And then my last two questions. Let's say that you have asset, right? You're working. How would you decided to quit your job? How would they find out? Let's say you decided to separate from your wife. We were talking about divorce earlier. How would they find out? How would they split everything?
Okay, so you have two questions. So to answer your first question, you only can have one homestead, and that is on your principal primary home. So if you have a secondary home in the Cape, you will not have a homestead on that. It is your primary home. So
can I have a homestead on the one at the Cape? Because that's the one I plan on retiring, and then the one that I live at day to day. So it has to be my day to day primary
home.
Primary home.
Yes, it's your primary home.
And then after I sell this home, I can make another home my homestead.
You can make the homestead. So if you sell the home and now you're living on the Cape full time, file a homestead for the Cape home. Okay. Because then you won't have a homestead at the house that you just sold.
Okay.
If that house is gone, so now you can have a homestead. So it's only one homestead.
Okay. At all times.
Yes.
No, an application for a homestead while I get rid of this house.
No.
Okay.
And the second question is about separation. So I'm gonna this is not family court, but I will tell you that if you plan to separate from someone, please put things in writing on what you plan on doing. There are people constantly separate for 10 years for some reason. They're moved on and living with other people, but they're still technically married. The person that you are married to is entitled to everything that you acquired in the house in your marriage, 50%, minus some like legalities that you can argue with in court. But
hold on, pause. I'm married. Me and Joe are married. I make more money than Joe. Joe and I are separated. I leave Joe. Joe does his own thing. I do my own thing. 10 years later, I've acquired 7 houses, 14 businesses, and maybe an offspring. Joe is entitled to all of my wealth.
If you have an offspring, number one, he's considered the father, even if he's not, because you're married.
What?
That's number one. Number 2.
Joe's the daddy.
Joe is the daddy.
Billy's the daddy, but Joe's the daddy.
Joe's the daddy legally until Billy does something to prove that he is the daddy.
But Joe ain't on the damn birth certificate.
Joe is a legal father because you are married. If you were to pass away owning all of these things, you just gave all of this stuff to your ex or your separated spouse. You leave them with a lot more trust than you want to give them because you're separated. So if someone is no longer together and you unfortunately get in a car accident and you pass away, they dictate how your services are going to be. Or if you're in the hospital and you're on life support.
Joe can pull my life support.
Joe can pull it because he has a legal right to. He is your husband. So if you're going to divorce. Don't sit around for 10 years. So if you move into a home with someone who you marry and you're in a home that Joe already owned, and you now want to divorce, you are not entitled to 50% of his home. You are entitled to 50% of the equity that was acquired during the life of your marriage. So if you want to separate for 10 years and build up all of this wealth, he's entitled to the equity from that marriage. That does not mean that he's going to get it. You can definitely go into court and argue you've been separated this long, he's not entitled to it. But the presumption of law is that he's entitled to it. No dissimilar than the presumption of law is that he is your husband. He can decide whether or not he's going to pull the plug. He can decide whether or not you're going to be cremated or buried and where you will be buried. He will decide.
Me and Joe are getting a divorce. We're getting a divorce. This is ridiculous.
So do not stay married when you should not.
This is why my Nana is winning right now. Because my granddaddy never divorced her. They just separated. That's why she's winning. I get it now.
All day. So just be careful. I'm married. I love my husband. We've been together 17 years, married 11. No, we had nothing going in. We are building together. So whatever we build is great for us. But I want to be cremated. He wants me to be buried. So I tell everyone, I'm saying on the air, I tell everyone.
It don't matter. It don't matter. Your husband dictates that.
And that's what he says. So because I've said this so many times, he always throws it back in my face like, I'm going to pick out your plot. You're going to be buried. And I think it's like his last dig at me. It's going to be, I'm going to put you in the ground even though I know you don't want to be there. But he will have that power if I go before him.
Hold on, you can't even put it in your will.
You could put it in your will, but I mean, my husband, knowing him, I have to. All of my friends that are attorneys, he'll like, no, that's not. We have an updated will. There'll be something just so that he has dark humor. He'll think that it's the funniest thing in the world that I'm in the grave and not cremated like I asked for.
617-282-0062. What questions do you have, Miss Stephanie Everett? 617-282-0062. Homesteads, deeds, and everything in between. What questions do you have? Because I have 1,000 questions, and I'm not okay with
any of these. This is why this position is important now, right? So
I see.
People don't see it that way.
Lot of mercy. Good rising, caller. You're live.
Top of the morning. How are you doing?
Hey, baby. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I am in the process, I'm separated. First thing we came to conclude was the house. So we came up with a price between both of us, and then we signed some papers. I hired a lawyer at that time and signed some papers, then gave her the money, and she signed, brought it back down to the registry of deeds, and turned the house over completely to me. But here it is. This is the catch. I have some credit issue right now, so I cannot refinance. So she's still on the mortgage. Is there another way around this thing where I could get her completely off the mortgage, where I could actually feel like I own this thing, like I'm winning in some way?
So,
that sounds like that's not a good.
if you are supposed to come off of basically she wants to come off the mortgage. She does not want to be further responsible for the home anymore and anything that's attached to the home, especially if you're saying you have credit issues. She doesn't want to be attached to it. If you have not been able to refinance, you're going to need to talk to your wife, because she's still your wife, and speak to her about what the options are, since you cannot come off. There are different programs that you could actually be a part of, try to get involved in to help you pay off your debts, to help you refinance. And there's no easy answer for you. Your wife wants off the deed, and off the mortgage. She can come off the deed. It's easy to come off the deed. The deed does not dictate your financial responsibility as much as to the mortgage. Mm-hmm. If you're on the mortgage, it's affecting her credit, and she wants off of it. So if you're not paying it, it doesn't affect her credit. If something happens with her, it's not, it doesn't look like she has a larger debt. If she wants to buy a home, this debt is not outstanding on her credit. So I think it's just a conversation you need to have, and to look at other programs about how you can reduce some of your debt in order to refinance to get her name off of it.
But he wouldn't be able to just take her off, because she want to go buy her own house. She want to do her own thing. I just want to get off this.
Well, no, because he needs to refinance in order to come off of it. So she can do an assumption of loan. So there is a way to do an assumption of loan, but you have to talk to your bank about how that happens. So assumption of loan means that it does change to just the husband. Mm-hmm. But call the bank, ask them about an assumption of loan, and see if they.
See, that sounds too difficult, because if we're separated and he's doing the wrong thing and he's messing up his credit, and by him messing up his credit, he's messing up my credit. I want to get off this mortgage with him, and we got to do this thing together. We don't
bought it together. You have to do it together to get off of it.
See, this is why you have to be mindful of who you decide to put a ring on it.
Yeah. Well, just call the bank. The biggest thing is to have a conversation with the bank, find out what their procedures are in order to get a spouse off of the mortgage. Okay. Most of the time, it's just an assumption of loan. But you should have a conversation with the spouse, because the spouse may think signing the deed took them off of the mortgage. That's a misconception. People think I signed my rights, and current and future rights, over to you in this deed, which means that I no longer am responsible to this mortgage. And they're two separate things.
So I just took away all of my rights to own something while I still have to pay for something.
Yes.
Wow. This is a better conversation than I thought we were going to have.
Did you think it was going to be boring?
I didn't think it was going to be boring. I just didn't think it was going to be this.
This is why this seat's so important, and why the seat should be held by an attorney. It should be held by someone who can actually understand the intricate details that goes into making this seat, and available and accessible to the public. So when questions like this happen, when someone comes into the register of deeds or comes downstairs from getting a divorce, or just having a pretrial hearing, and they're discussing what the options are and what they would need to do, they need to have someone in their office who can answer those questions. Yes. So that that's it's the reason why I decided to run. Not just for the seat's open. No, the seat's open, but you need to make sure that there's someone in there who actually knows the job, who deals with clients on a day-to-day basis, and they can tell you all the crazy stories that come along with not having proper information when you are selling your home or buying your home or going through a divorce, or if you are, someone in your family passes away, or because I represent criminal clients, what it means when you're away for a certain amount of time. What happens to the mortgage then? So these things, your home is your wealth. It is the American dream to own a home, but it's also your security blanket. It's the one thing, like, I always say, you can turn my lights off, you can turn the water off. As long as I have these four walls, I will be okay because it's your security blanket. So how do you make sure that
that's a country saying? You from the country?
My family is. My father's from Georgia. I always say I'm a peachy bean. But it is, and that's how I was raised. Like, it doesn't matter, So you got to have that roof over your head. You got to have that security, and I think that's what this office needs. It needs someone who understands. I was homeless at 19 years old. With 20, I had my daughter at 19. Was homeless by 20. She spent her first birthday in a shelter. I was just talking to someone else. She'll be 21 in 2 weeks. And she always jokes, and she's saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. She's a third year at Spelman, pre-med.
That's really good.
And she said, well, Mommy, what was you doing when you turned 21? I was like, I was in a shelter. I had a time to be in, so I didn't get to celebrate 21. And I didn't think about owning a home, but I did think about getting any home. I wanted some shelter. So now that we have our home, it is, for me, the biggest accomplishment. And it is. It's a very comforting thing. I tell people all the time, as long as I have a roof over my head, you have a roof over your head. We don't have to have a lot. We just need to have that security. And how do you preserve that? How do you make sure families preserve that? And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to get out to people, and why this seat's important. So it may be at the bottom of the ballot, but it really, really helps to determine how you're going to be able to stay in your home. How you going to get from, because someone like me, go from having nothing to owning a home and making sure our children have homes, or just, the possibility of owning a home, making it a reality is something that we need to be really up on, and we're paying attention in these races. Every seat is important for us to pay attention to.
So I want to apologize to the callers that I had on hold. I definitely am glad that we got that out of the way and got that information. And I was going to make a pun, like, you didn't want this job, the first steady paycheck. That's not.
No. I am blessed. I do have my own law firm. And my husband works at Eversource, formerly Instar. We're okay.
Okay, so I made that joke. If you attended the Rocks vote, there was the question was, why do you want this position? And there was a candidate that was like, for X amount of years, 30 plus years, I've been making a living commission-based living, and I would like a steady paycheck. And the whole auditorium was like, cricket. Did you just say that?
Yeah. Well, I think everyone was shocked by that, but then there were other candidates who also acknowledged wanting the pay increase, or how the pay increase would be great for them. You can't go into this job for money, because then it doesn't help anyone else but yourself.
So one of the questions that came up, one of the other candidates said something that really resonated with me about merging certain departments and having this department have access to the deeds, and the deeds having access to, I don't remember exactly what it said, and I didn't understand the terms that we used, but it made sense. Like,
it's working, and this is what I've been talking about. It's the collaboration of the state and local services. So it's not for the Register of Deeds to go out and teach you how to own your home. That's Home Buyers 101, but you know where to go to get that information. If someone is facing foreclosure, or going in housing court, so that comes in through us. If someone is dealing with a bankruptcy, how do they connect with us? But it's really about just coordinating your services so that there's better information being given to consumers, so they know how to effectively stay in their homes. So the thing that you can do in that office, the biggest thing is to make sure that this office is user-friendly and consumer heavy. Updated website
from 1999. We have another call on the line. I don't want to leave anybody else on hold. We're coming to the top of the hour. If you have any questions, 617-282-0062. Good rising, caller, you're live.
Hi, good morning.
Good rising, my love. How are you?
Hey, I have one question. After divorce, maybe 3 years of divorce, could you advise come after your investment property?
Hold on, say that again, baby.
Your ex-wife come after your investment property after that?
okay, so you've been divorced for 3 years. You guys have not separated the property as of now, and you're asking.
I acquired investment property after, but her lawyer checking up some money and then she turned over on our property stuff like that.
So your phone is breaking up. I would advise maybe you come out the tunnel and call back. Did you get the gist of that question?
I think some of the question he was asking is, it seems like he said after a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So after divorce, any property acquires your property, your ex cannot come in and attach unless you owe something, and there's a modification done for that. But they're not like automatically going to get equity, or they're not going to, have ownership.
But it's an ex-wife.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question, Papa? Yeah, she said that answered my question. She can't get nothing. 617-282-0062. Register of deeds. Very important. We need to pay attention. And if I am a tenant, I do not own a home. I don't even foresee myself owning a home anytime soon. Why do I need to vote for this position? Why do I need to pay attention to this position when, I'm good with my little Section 8. I ain't trying to buy no house.
Well, you want to know if your landlord is losing their house, right? So you want to help. We all have family members who lived in some place for a very long time, and you assume that this is their home, and then something happens, and it's like, wait, that's not Auntie Betty's home? We thought that was her house. She's lived here for 50 years. The biggest issue that you have with that is that there is someone who's lived in their home forever. We usually have forever homes, whether you own it or you're renting it, and you want to make sure that you have the information and the tools available if your landlord does lose the home. What do you do? Who do you turn to? What happens when a bank sends you a letter? Just because there is someone else, your landlord owns the home, doesn't mean the bank's not going to contact you. If they foreclose on their home, they will contact you and let you know. This is what they were doing in 2008 when we did the legislation. 2008, 2009, until we changed it in 2010. They would call it. They would write you a letter and say you have 30 days to get out. Right? So you don't know why. Why are you kicking me out? I didn't do that. I've been paying my rent on time. I'm not disturbing the peace. I haven't violated my lease in any other way. But that's because the homeowner lost their home. You also have people who have aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, grandparents, whoever, who own their own homes. And you want to be able to give them information about how they can stay in their home. That's your family's wealth. That, not everyone is going to be able to. You may have this one family home where one family member owns that home, or maybe two own, two properties. My family, we don't have like 50 people owning homes. This is not what happens. But you want to make sure that with this wealth, with this family meetup place, it's always going to be in this family. So when I get older, how do you make sure that someone is paying attention to the needs that I have? If there's some lien that's being attached because homestead is not working, it's over the $500,000. If I decided to do a reverse mortgage, or your aunt, your uncle, someone's trying to do a reverse mortgage, what does that mean to you and your family and the wealth of you and your family? So it's very important for you to understand. So when things come up in your family, you have the information and the tools, or just the know-how. I'm going to go to the register of deeds because this is where we went to get this wealth, and I'm going to get this information from them.
So you've enlightened me today, because one of the things my grandmother has been saying for years is, when I die, y'all just take over the house. No, it doesn't work like that.
No.
I know now. Maybe in Alabama it works like that, but it doesn't sound like it.
But I've never, no, it doesn't, because banks aren't like that. But it's something that before I started actually doing this work, I had no idea either. I just felt like, when someone passes, you just get the house. You had no idea that you have to go through a mortgage process in order to get the home. So it is a lot of information you should have at your disposal in order to make, good decisions. It's a matter of talking to your family members in advance. If, you have an aging family member, setting them up so that there are some things in place. So if you want Uncle Joe to own the home because he's been living there for 50 years afterwards, we never left the home. And, we want Uncle Joe to stay in the house. He should get the house. How do you set that up?
How do you make those provisions? Because it was said before, and I want you guys to understand now, that if your mama, your grandmama, whoever owns the house passes away, you do not get the house, and at any point in time, the bank can take it from you.
Yes.
So I think that's probably one of the most important things I took away from this conversation is it does not matter who owned the house. It doesn't matter. You guys have $10,000 to, left on the house. If you don't make the proper provisions to transfer it over to whomever you want to transfer it to, that house can be foreclosed on.
You just have, it's proper planning. It's all estate planning. What you need to do is if you have a mortgage on your home, and there's some years left. I've been in my home for 9 years, so we still have 21 years on our home. Yeah. So if we attempted to do anything with a mortgage, if something happened to us, God forbid, my children would have to refinance the home in order for them to stay in it. There's not going to be 21 years worth of income for them to just pay the mortgage off. And my kids are also very young. So you can will whatever you want in your will. You can write whatever you want in your will. Doesn't mean that you can get it. I can will that you're going to get the White House in the will, but doesn't mean you're going to get the White House. You have to follow the proper procedures in order to preserve your house. So if it's Uncle Joe, Uncle Joe doesn't have a lot of money. His credit may be tricky. Maybe you stop paying off his debt so that he can acquire the mortgage because you had, Grandma Sue had to get a mortgage in order to
just make
pay off some of her debts. Yes, be prepared for that. How do you do that? How do you take the deed and do a homestead if you decide you're going to take, Grandma doesn't have any debts. It's her house. The house is paid off. Well, if you want Uncle Joe to have the house, make sure Grandma Sue signs over the house to Uncle Joe, and then have Uncle Joe do a homestead. Because remember, that homestead
is not
going to be transferred to Uncle Joe. You have to make sure it gets transferred to Uncle Joe.
So September 8th, Thursday, September 8th, we are going to go out and vote. We're going to understand what the Register of Deeds is. And right now we know one of the candidates, and she is an attorney. And last question is, would you, if, God willing, if you assume this position, because you were voted in by the many, many listeners, will you keep your law office?
So I can't as elected official keep my law office. I have not decided if I'm going to keep it or not, mainly because I do a lot of real estate law. I do criminal law, so I would have to figure out what the balance is, but it's a full-time job to me. And I believe that the Suffolk County residents deserve to have a full-time register, someone who's devoted to them. If I do anything, I have talked to some they're not law students anymore, those who are graduated from law school and want to have the experience of working in a firm, and we don't always get those opportunities to work in a firm.
That looks like us. That's what I was going to say.
So I've thought about bringing in, God willing, we get past September 8th, please come join Team Stephanie so we can make that happen. But what I would want to do is bring in those who just passed the bar, because in November they'll find out if they passed the bar, and really kind of transfer the reins over to them and help them out as much as possible to get them started. So even if they don't want to do the job as a solo practitioner, they at least have the skill set when they're applying for other jobs. They can say, I've been to court, I've drafted motions, I've argued motions, I represented this clientele, or I've done, if they want to do real estate, just different things that will help them elevate their career. So, I mean, if I kept it for anything, it would really be just to make sure that somebody else has the opportunity that they may not be able to get in other firms for a host of reasons that I won't say.
But we can definitely discuss it at a later date.
Yes.
With that being said, Miss Stephanie Everett of Lower Mills, 8 children. What did your Twitter say? Wife of one, mother of many.
Yes. I don't know what else it says, but it is wife of one, mother of many. There are a lot of them.
There's 9 kids, right?
Well, so there's 8 blended, and then I took in my little cousin because he was in foster care. One night was good enough. So he came, and he's been with us for 2 years now. So 8 was not enough. We now have 9 children. Yeah.
What did you say, 4 what?
Yeah, he's 4 now.
He's 4 now.
Yeah, little Mason turned 4.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
You know more, huh?
Yes, So I'm the 8. I give him birth to 5.
You gave birth to 5. Yo, 5. She looks dope. 5 kids.
5 children. 21. So the children I've given birth to are 21 to 6 years old.
You have a 21-year-old?
Oh, should be 21 in 2 weeks. Yes.
You know what? Black don't cry.
Well, this weekend. I keep
all.
saying in 2 weeks. It's this weekend, September 4th. And Beyonce.
Mama, come on. You're supposed to know my birthday now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna yell at you for her.
No, I know her birthday. I just don't know the day. Like it's
these
like
days
I
are
keep
really
saying,
running
like,
together.
in a couple of weeks, but I talked to her last night. She nicely reminded me that
She's a Virgo.
This weekend. Yes, she's a strong Virgo.
Shout out to all the Virgos. The Virgos are no joke. As a Taurus, I definitely vibe with y'all, but y'all crazy. Virgos are crazy, but they're so driven. They're so determined. They're ready, set all the time.
Yes, most of my best friends are Virgos. And then my first child came out of Virgo. I don't know if it was punishment or a blessing. I'm still figuring it out.
Big City 101.3 FM. Waking up with TaylaAndre. Miss Stephanie Everett, how can we get in contact with you if we want you to be our attorney?
You want to be for the attorney? You call 857-342-7990.
One more time.
857-342-7990. I'm out of the office a lot, so leave a message and bear with me because we're running a campaign, and even between that, I'm at court still. For the campaign office, I'm going to say it wrong, but Paolo can correct me. It's 617-671-0917.
One more time.
617-671-0917.
How do we get a Team Stephanie Everett sign?
You call that number, and or you can.
That number is
617-671-0917. You can also go on our website, StephanieEverett.com. It's very simple. It's just my name.com. And you can request a sign there. You can sign up to be part of Team Stephanie on that. You can follow us on Twitter, so you can DM. You do DMs on Twitter.
Hey, going down in that DM.
I'm learning the terminology. You can also request it on Facebook.
Awesome. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to ZC Boston, located at 801 Mass Ave. Some of the best sushi you will ever have. Don't forget, on the weekends, they have half-price sushi. Monday through Friday, actually Monday through Sunday, they have free parking, free delivery. If you live up Columbia Road till it intersects with Blue Hill Ave, they do deliver in the hood. And it's the best sushi you'll ever have, the best Chinese food you ever had, the only Chinese food I eat because I know it's chicken and not rat. So 801 Mass Ave, directly across from the Boston Medical Center. I want to give a shout out to the Raw Healing Center, Raw Natural Health and Education Center, 1349 Blue Hill Avenue. And that is Dr. Asikasa, for those who want to spell it. It's AQASIKESAT, Dr. Asikasa. That is my baby. I love her. Please go get your colon cleaned, because it is, you think, Tayla, that's disgusting, that's nasty. That's exactly what you need in your life. She has everything you need to beat seasonal and cold flu, moringa, the miracle tree, the new silver solution that is known to kill viruses, inflammation, bacteria, and so much more. Get your alkaline iodized water. It flushes toxins and alkalines the body. The Koreans and Japanese use the system in their hospitals for curing cancers. The Bio2 electric food cell, just go call Dr. Asikasa, 617-696-5505. Do not forget, Dr. Umar Johnson and Dr. Claude Anderson will be here September 24th. That is Saturday, September 24th. Tickets are on sale at Eventbrite. You can check all that out on the Wake Up with TaylaAndre page. Dr. Umar Johnson, Dr. Claude Anderson, this is exactly where you need to be, September 24th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Dyslexia is real. Last but not least, can I tell you who is going to be in the building tomorrow? Can I tell you? Jasari X will be in the building tomorrow. If you don't know, please go do your homework. It's not last but not least, Faith's Natural, where beauty meets nature meets beauty. I love everything. Hopefully I want to apologize to the 2 winners yesterday, because I had more meetings than I thought I had, and I was supposed to stop by and drop off your pom pom wash. I will do it today. I will drop off your pom pom wash with the pom pom spray for the 2 winners, and we did get a third who is currently in Rhode Island. Shout out to you, baby. Love and appreciate you. She said, Tayla, you love that so much. You were on stage with DavidBanner to talk about the pom pom wash. Yes, I was. And I always will be. It balances your pH, and she has so much more than that. Don't forget the aluminum-free deodorant. Don't forget the activated charcoal face wash, activated charcoal body wash. Everything you need, she has it. If toothpaste, she got it. Shampoo, conditioner, you have alopecia, need to grow your hair, she got you. Faves with an S, natural with an S, beauty.com. Faves with an S, naturals with an S, beauty.com. Last but not least, MedWell Health. Please go get your medical marijuana cards. Don't be out here smoking weed without your medical marijuana card. You driving around illegally, smoking in your house illegally, just get a card, protect yourself, $25 off. Tell them Tayla sent you. The number is 774-7, dyslexia is real, 517-5195. 820 Pearl Street in Brockton, Massachusetts. Again, that is MedWell, MEDWELL Health on Facebook. You can Google them. You can Facebook them. Tell them Tayla sent you $25 off. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day. I can't wait for mañana. Mwah.
Right, baby, you know what it is? It's DJ Sus One, the feature presentation. Listen, make sure you wake up with TaylaAndre Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 a.m. on Big City 101.3 FM. Wake up with the radio.
There he is.
Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with unorthodox conversations. Not the universal consciousness. That's the type of stuff I'm into, right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go.
That's my son's birthday.
I know.
It's his birthday, the second oldest boy.
It is, Virgos are
There's too many of them.
motivated and
They are
insane.
That's why Tiffany I told you September 18th. So there you go.
Crazy.
I swear that they all have. So my husband, when's your birthday?
May 18th. I'm a Taurus.
So my husband is April 26th.
So May Tauruses and April Tauruses are very different.
They are, but I have 2 kids. My son, my only boy that I gave birth to is May 21st.
He's a Gemini cusp.
The same day as Biggie. And for some reason I didn't, I must have subconsciously thought about that because I named him Chris. And then, but 9 years before that, I gave birth to a girl who just went off to college too. She's also May 21st.
Oh, really?
So my husband starts the birthdays April 26th. I end them September 26th. So I just missed me a Virgo. So, which I'm not really mad about. But yeah, there is April, and all of our kids, even Mason, fits in between this April to September day. It is weird.
You want to say anything? The goodbyes, the hellos, the...
Vote September 8th, Thursday, September 8th. Do not forget to vote
Follow
Thursday,
campaign
September 8th.
manager.
Yeah.
Number 1 campaign manager.
I don't appear on camera. She's the one to focus on. Thursday.
November
Thursday.
8th.
I'm already thinking ahead. Thursday, September 8th.
Yes. Think ahead.
Primary day. We have to get through the primary though. So show up Thursday, September 8th. At Everett Boston, Twitter and Facebook. Sign up to be on Team Stephanie. #ElectEverett and join us. We need sign holders, volunteers. If you want to help, we can use you. So give us a call, 617-670-0917.
Yeah, the number one more time.
617-671-0917.
One more time.
617-671-0917.
I hope you guys got that. I love you. I appreciate you. Hope you have an amazing day. Get ready for mañana. Mwah.
Would you like a button?
I sure would. Hold on, I forgot to show you. Roxbury against gentrification all day, every day. Make sure you go get your t-shirt. You can find them at Everything Is Real Barbershop. Everything Is Real Barbershop that is located in Roxbury. Tell Allah that Tayla sent you because everything is real and we need to figure out how to. There we go. Hold on 5 seconds. You better not be late for school. Okay. Okay.
Do you have any stickers?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm going to run down to the car.
All right. How are you guys doing? You ate breakfast, you fill your belly, you got lunch? All right, so what about the pancakes I made? Nobody ate that? I made pancakes, they were on the counter. Okay. And tonight's pizza. Okay? All right, remember I gotta go to the bank and go get soccer money.
Seriously, you were awesome. And I got that 5 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so have a good day at school. Did he just hang up on me?
How old?
13 and 10.
Yeah, they hang up at this age. What school?
Edward Brook Charter.
Oh, okay. Which one are they at? Which location?
Mattapan.
Okay.
That's all for you, girl. Seriously,
Oh, thank you. Thank
awesome
you.
set. The way the sun comes up and you go to the whole morning thing. Great.
It's getting late. It's getting late because the sun is coming up later. Usually at 4:45, the sun is already coming up.
It's changing.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not ready because it's gonna be dark in here until 6:30.
Well, it's gonna be
I was just gonna say, like, how awesome is it? The sun come up, and then you reminded me that we're about to go into the bleakness of winter.
I know.
Yes.
I hate it.
A lot of conspiracy talk at 5:30 in the morning in the bleak of winter.
That's okay. Listen,
Sometimes that's when you need to be happening at 5:30 in the morning.
Put me on speakerphone. Put me on speakerphone. Okay, put me on speakerphone. Put me on speakerphone. We pray to God that you guys have an amazing day today, that you walk into school with your minds open and you have a discerning heart so you can make sure you know what's going on around you at all times. If you have any questions, make sure you write them down. You keep them keep them somewhere, come home, and whatever questions you have, we'll answer them together. I pray that you keep the friends that you need to keep, and whoever does not need to be in your circle removes themselves from your life. I don't want you guys to be disrespectful, be mindful, but still I want you to stand for what you know, and don't let anybody dismay you from your morals and beliefs. Amen? Bye.
Amen. There's one thing this